Another debut. We're up to a full baseball team of players who've made their debut this year for the Cleveland Guardians. I like this addition. We'll get into why Ty Freeman was the right call. We'll talk about a win for the Guardians today, facing a team they should beat. And we're also going to get into some of the under-the-radar prospects in this system. Who are some guys whose stats pop off the page, but whose names may not, on today's Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Guardians. I'm your host, Jeff Ellis, sporting a new hat. Thank you, Locked On Network. Before taking this gig here, when I was one of the OG baseball hosts, as they say in the parlance, I don't think anyone actually says that in the parlance anymore, but, you know, I'm 40, so I'm behind things. But before working here at Locked On, I worked at Scout 24/7 as a draft and prospect analyst and appeared in every Cleveland sports blog imaginable, many that don't even exist nowadays. And then I want to thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is you get podcasts. So we're going to talk about promotions, we're going to talk about games, we're going to talk about under-the-radar prospects in that order. So let's start with the game today. Was anyone else thrown off by a Wednesday day game? I'm not used to that. It was one of those things that really threw me off. You know, and I looked at the lineup, and then I go, oh, that's right. I know. And what's fun is Arizona also promoted someone. Tommy Henry, Michigan kid. So his whole family was down. It was a big deal. It's like I saw a 4-hour commute. So we had a pair of players making their debut. Guardians had lined up, everything lined up well. Nice to have Hot Oscar back, right? You know, the big home run in this, and a multi-hit game. You know, who reached base twice? Rosario did. Rosario just staying flaming. Jose reached base twice. Oscar Gonzalez reached base twice. And then Ty Freeman and Austin Hedges, who, for all of my trash talk on Hedges, Zach, if you're watching, he, at Fenios MVP, I should know that name. I interact with him a bunch. But he has talked about how I'm batting like 1,000 this year of when I put the stink eye on someone that's just like Ty Freeman's recent hot streak happened after I took a big stand on Twitter about him and said so many negative things that he followed me for about a week. It was mildly entertaining in that regard that because of my here's the thing. Like, I like Ty Freeman as a prospect, and I think this is the right role, and we'll get into this more in segment 2, but I do have my concerns that I've expressed many times on the show. But yeah, he followed me for about a week, and I was on vacation, so I really didn't tweet too much more after that. But, I have this skill of just really, guys becoming all-stars after I denounce them. So, Zach Plesac, his hot run happened after that. Cal Quantrill, he should just be a pen arm. I've been saying bad things about Aaron Savale all year with his health, and it hasn't. I can't help there. Who else do I need to start attacking? Who is not performing well in this lineup? That's the thing. It's kind of nice. Most guys are. I should find a way to reverse jinx Josh Naylor's health, because that's what we're missing right now. If Naylor was healthy and able to play first base, how fun would this team look? And again, it's incremental. Think how bad they were a year ago. Think of all the dead spots in the lineup. Yes, Hedges is kind of a dead spot now. But overall, Straw is not necessary. And I know people get so frustrated with Straw. He's a good friend of Jose. An elite defender at a top 3 defensive position. Plus speed. He gets a lot of pitches, so he helps wear down pitchers. As a 9th guy, ideal. That's fine. Hopefully, he'll get closer to being closer to league average. I don't think he's going to be a league average bat, but we'll take that. So overall in this game, Bieber had another strong performance for him. He gave up 2 runs in the 6th. He was cruising for most of this game. I believe it was a 2-run home run that allowed that. 4 hits, 0 walks. He was just completely dominating. 99. How big is 99 being 99 of 2 years ago? Being able to deploy him as a seventh inning weapon, if he can get even, like I said, 80, because, go back 2 years, you could argue top 5 reliever in baseball. If you can get to 80% of that, he's great. Trevor Stephan continues to be effective. I know you maybe don't want the 2 hits, but he still struck out the side. And then Morgan. I remember how excited we were for Eli Morgan. I don't know what's going wrong there. This is where, you're hoping a coach is stepping in, if he's tipping something, or if it's just he's over-relying on a pitch, or what's going down. I know it was a 2-run home run. You look at it, it's like in 1 inning, Trevor Stephan allows 2 hits. Eli Morgan allows 2 hits. Just the one happened to go out of the yard. Morgan has always been home run prone. That's one of the big concerns with him. That he's Josh Tomlin is what I compared him to, with better strikeout rates. But it has been really bad. He is giving up runs in almost every outing he has had. He's gone from the bell of the ball to the guy who kind of makes you a little squeamish right now. And we talked about, Sandlin has made that comeback this year. 99 has made that comeback this year. But for Morgan, okay, so August 1st, he didn't give up any runs. And July 31st, he didn't give up any runs. But, then there was the 26th and 23rd he gave up. 15th and 13th, not. I guess, that's a thing. Like, for as much as most outings, he's still not giving up runs. But since late June, go back to June 19th, the ERA was 162. We're now talking 372. So it's gone up 2 earned runs in that time. It was going to go up. He had some luck, but still a little disconcerting. Box score bingo. Cleveland had 9 hits and 3 walks, an error on each side, and Andres just continues to get hit by pitches. So let's see, 211 and then 14 opportunities. That should be about 5 runs. They got 7. That is because they had 2 home runs and a double. Not that many extra base hits. They actually outperformed their expectations there. Other side, Arizona 9 hits, the 1 error, 0 walks. So they had 10 opportunities at the end of the day. And they also had 2 home runs. And on those 10 opportunities, you'd expect about 3 runs. So they outperformed as well. Alec Thomas. It's hard for me to talk about Alec Thomas. I thought for sure they were going to draft him. I even talked to a scout, an agent, not his agent, a different agent, and someone inside baseball who all thought he was ticketed to Cleveland. I gave him a first-round grade, and he went to Arizona in the 2nd round. Outfield's looking good, but if we had Straw, Thomas, and Kwan, that'd be nice. I thought for sure, they were going to go out and add him. Unfortunately, it just didn't happen that year. Why did I think? Young for the class, cold weather bat. Dad was, maybe still is, the strength and conditioning coach for the Chicago White Sox. So he had bloodlines, he had youth, he was cold weather, he was left-handed, he was a good athlete, he had an advanced approach at the plate, and he fell to, let's see, which pick was he in the 2018 in the 2nd round of the draft. Of course, my computer is going to slow down now that I decide to go off topic. I have everything lined up, and then I go off topic. He was the 20th pick in the 2nd round that year. Cleveland would take Sandlin just 4 picks later in that class. And if you're wondering who the Guardians took instead of him in the 1st round of the 2018 draft, that's the year they took Bo Naylor. So it's hard to argue against Bo, but I would still contend that the guy who's up there doing it. But they also took Lenny Torres and Nathan Hankins instead. And that was one of those things. I thought for sure the Torres pick could be him, or actually more the Hankins pick. Torres was pretty well lined up to them, and Hankins leaked out pretty good information as well. We all knew Torres was likely going. But yeah, passed on him 3 times. Boy, would he look good there now. Cleveland wins this series. Stay a game behind the Twins. 4 games over 500. They're just going to keep hanging around. They made the promotion. We are going to, in segment 2, get into the promotion and talk about Ty Freeman, talk about the lineup, talk about why I'm very happy with this move. I wasn't very happy with the moves from yesterday, but why I was very happy about the addition of Ty Freeman. it's time to take a moment and talk about something high class, something that is one of a kind, the original online jeweler, BlueNile.com. You know, if you want to get jewelry, you don't want to get something that looks like everything else. If you're going to spend that money, you want to get something original, something that stands out. That is what our friends at Blue Nile provide. They're specializing right now. Their focus is on wedding jewelry and fine jewelry. You know, if it's engagement rings and bands or diamond jewelry, cocktail rings, gemstone necklaces, they have you covered. They have 24/7 support to make sure that you get the right piece. And right now, make your moments sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And going on now is the Blue Nile Anniversary Sale. Save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement ring settings. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Okay, so I've not been the biggest Ty Freeman fan, but I love the promotion. On Front Street, my concern with Freeman is there's not a lot of power in the bat. He doesn't walk a lot. He has fantastic contact rates. It is a profile that has been hard to translate. The player it reminded me of throughout the minors was Francisco Mejia. You know, just good or bad, that's what it is. But in this, if you take that Owen Miller role and the Ernie Clement role and smash them together, and you have a guy who's like an everyday player, but he's going to play a game at first, he's going to play a game at second, you know, he's going to move through the lineup. Perfect. The ultimate super utility guy, that can be Ty Freeman. And as Tito has shown with Clement and Martinez and Freeman, you don't have to play outfield in the minors to play outfield for Tito Francona. So while he's not really been an outfielder, and he played third today, the arm is not, that's been a question for a while, even before the labrum surgery. But when it's a backup role, when it's not an everyday role, it works. Now, again, I don't know if I'd necessarily be putting him out in right field, but left field, the infield, he does everything Clement does, but better. And Clement is a great teammate. He's well loved. He's a good athlete. But they were asking him to do too much, and the performance was reflected in that. So this is an upgrade. This is 100% an upgrade. It makes your team better. It is a pretty big upgrade, in my opinion, when you go from Clement to Freeman. Freeman is, in some regards, I think would be an upgrade over, Owen Miller. Miller definitely does have more power potential than Freeman, but I think he's just a better hitter. I think you get more. So I know some people out there, like, they don't want two utility hitters. You need more outfielders. But if you're what they need and what they want to do with the way this team is set up is they need right-handed bats. So they're going to play at the same time. This is the situation. They're going to play at the same time. When they're facing a tough lefty or just a lefty, when it's a guy making his major league debut, they're both going to be out there. And I'm fine with that. It can work this way. Now, for my money, when it is a righty, Miller should be sitting and Freeman should be playing. So Miller should move in the Clement role more, and Freeman should take over that primary super sub role. And again, I think he'll hit for a decent average. I don't know if he's going to have enough everything else to make him a plus starter, but 2-win player, like the comp on him is very clearly David Fletcher of the Angels. Throughout his career, just the profile, the way the statistical numbers, there's a lot of room for comparison, and that's why it comes up all the time. And that's why I've been a little bit lower, but Fletcher is a borderline starter in baseball, and Freeman is, maybe he grows into power, and then I have to go back and do this as one of those I was wrong statements. Those happen a lot, and I'm okay admitting it, and I will happily admit it. But right now, he's kind of that fringe level. But a fringe level guy who's a super utility guy who's playing that role and playing almost every day, that's a great value. This team got better. End of story. Promoting Freeman made them better. And I hate to phrase it that way because, again, Clement, it's not Clement's fault. He was put in a situation that he is not prepared for. That he is a solid performer. I think he's, a major league talent, but I don't think he is someone who you want getting, 100 to 200 plate appearances in a year. Ty Freeman, you want that as the minimum, and you're hoping he'll go up from there. So I think, like I said, maybe he grows into power. That's not beyond the realm of possibility. The swing isn't really geared for it, though. A lot of places just don't see it. I know he had started hitting some home runs, but again, I'm going to caution that Columbus Park is, not great. And through the course of the year, his runs created plus relative to that level has been below league average because it's all contact and there isn't really a second tool that shows up as average or better. But again, borderline starter makes a heck of a backup, right? If this guy could be, for years the Guardians have been looking for a borderline starter in their outfield. We'll gladly take borderline for a very long time. They couldn't find that, so it's not an insult. And for me, I didn't have him when I was rewriting my top 10 prospects list. I'll get that out at some point. He didn't make my top 10 because I see more likely a backup. I think he's a pretty safe backup with a high floor, but that's what kind of moved him down for me. In this role, he's going to be extremely productive and extremely valuable, I think. We'll see. It is a profile that, like I said, maybe he's a young kid. He's coming off of surgery. Maybe he surprises us with power, and I look dumb by saying that he's more of a backup. Maybe, like a lot of guys, he struggles with that transition to be able to, when you're, like Francisco Mejia has, where hitting is really hard to do at the major league level. Then I look dumb for saying that he's a safe prospect. So I really can't win in this. Either way, I'm going to end up wrong. But the Guardians are better. They didn't go out and make a trade to make themselves better. I still wish they had done that. I wish they had figured out. There were ways, trading for Omar Narvaez, for instance, with the Brewers. The Brewers, and everyone's asking me about Lamet, who they just let go. If the Brewers are giving up on him and, talking to people in San Diego, it sounds like his career might be done. I don't know if he's going to be able to pitch this year. It's very clear he was part of that trade for Josh Hader just to help balance salaries because San Diego was so up against the luxury tax. That's why they were trying to work out those Hosmer deals. So his inclusion was just about money, and then he was immediately let go because of that. I don't know if he's ever coming back. The Brewers also let go of Pedro Serviano, the catcher, who is one of the guys they're going to maybe hold on to if they traded Narvaez. But he was suspended, I believe, for PEDs, so he can't be in the postseason. He's got horrible framing data, so he's not for Cleveland either. But, this team didn't get better yesterday. They got better today, though. And if they start doing more promotions, so, again, I kind of dig the opener. I don't dig Brian Shaw as the opener. Call up Xavier Curry, pitched well today. He's missing a lot of bats. He is a bit home run prone in AAA, but that park doesn't do him any favors. He's got good numbers. Call up Curry. I'm not sure he's more in a relief. I'm not sure if Curry and Gaddis are starters long term or if they're relievers, but I believe they're both major league pitchers. And I think in the pen they might both be really strong. In the rotation, they might be more back end types. But call them up. Especially at this point in time, everything's about youth. You're not willing to trade your prospects. You're doing a youth movement here. Say goodbye to Shaw. Call up Curry. Let Gaddis. Let them start that game on Saturday, and you got McCarty to come in and kind of piggyback if you need it. Go get that move done. Let's see what some of the young pitchers can do. Let's keep making this team better and using that youth. One other guy we have to talk about who could be that choice, that answer. I don't know if it's going to be as a starter or it could be that relief arm they desperately need. Cody Morris today, first inning, struck out the side. Next inning, I believe it was 2 strikeouts and then a single. And then he got an out. Here's the thing. First 6 batters, he struck out 5 of them. Now, he only went 2 2/3 innings, gave up a home run, ended up giving up 2 runs in that time. He hasn't pitched since spring training against live, real competitive guys. He's been out in Arizona. It's his first pitching performance in AAA. Elite arm. I had him as maybe not elite arm. Let's chill a bit there. 3 above average pitches, 2 above average pitches, and a show me. Fastball has missed so many bats. He has been able to miss basically the big concern was always health. And then this year it was health again. Is he a starter? I don't know if he can hold up. Could he be that other relief arm this team needs? Maybe. Yeah, absolutely, I think. It's going to take him a little bit of time. And they still haven't added him back to the 40-man, so that's going to be their next roster decision to make. But I think he could be that option, maybe as a starter. I mean, he hasn't thrown a lot of innings, so maybe you feel comfortable. But with all that missed time, even if it's as a pen arm, he could be a heavy use pen arm because the arm's fresh. We're going to take our next break, come back, talk about some of the prospects that we really haven't talked about this year. Who are the guys who are performing very well, who, aren't that top 15 to 20 group? Who are the guys who are the next Cody Morris, right? Who are the next Brian Lavastida? Who are the guys we've talked about, but who started out kind of further down and then had to prove themselves? You'll find out in segment 3 of Locked On Guardians. And, okay, I know I'm not supposed to have favorites of sponsors, but this is my favorite sponsor, Built Bar. And I can't help but laugh because I'm at the website now, and I'm very sad because they have a peanut butter lovers box. And the reason I'm sad is I've been avoiding peanut butter as my son is allergic. If not, I would be buying this box right now because I love the peanut butter. Everything they do peanut butter-wise is fantastic. In fact, you can get a peanut butter lovers bundle right now. Go check that out. Do yourself that favor. If I didn't have a kid who was under 1 and very badly allergic, I would be picking that up right now. They do peanut butter so well over at BuiltBar.com. Cookie dough puff, that's a great flavor. Toffee almond, that was in the OG world. I'm using that term a lot today. My favorite bar. When they're old recipes, I love the toffee almond. Go to BuiltBar.com for yourself. I had 2 Built Bars today. I had a Crave, also has peanut butter in it, but it's from before the allergy, needed to eat it up, and a churro puff. I love Built Bar. I eat it all the time. Go to BuiltBar.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15. That is the promo code I use on all my orders, not just because it helps us out. It's also the only promo code I know that gives you 15% off. Again, promo code LOCKED15, BuiltBar.com. You'll thank yourself, and your body will thank you, and you'll thank me. Go check it out. Underrated prospect. So if I right now said, who leads the Cleveland Guardians minor leagues in slugging percentage, you would be like, oh, I know this. Will Benson is destroying the baseball. And I would tell you, you are wrong. Be like, okay, well, it's got to be Jhonkensy Noel. He's got more home runs than the next 2 guys on the list combined. And I would say, no, the next 2 guys on the list combined for 33, but it's not Jhonkensy Noel. It's the player who's 3rd on that list in home runs. It is a former 3rd-round pick who, when he was taken, was the youngest player in his draft class. A switch hitter from Puerto Rico named Gabriel Rodriguez, who I really liked for a while. Was one of those guys who always kind of sat in the teens, but just wasn't performing quite as well as I think was hoped. And OPS was almost never over 800 those first few years in the minors. I don't know if it ever got over that number. I'm just looking at the data now. I mean, again, OPS is a flawed stat. 813 last year when he started the year in low A, got up to high A for 24 games and really struggled. This year, OPS of 893, and that's by far the high water mark. 553 slugging, 16 home runs, 15 doubles, 2 triples. Now he's only walking 6% of the time and striking out 27% of the time. There's definitely some, you got to hope that he is a switch hitting Oscar Gonzalez when you look at the profile. Now he walks more than Oscar Gonzalez did. He's still only 22 years of age, even though he was drafted way back in 2017 because he was so young then. $450,000 bonus, I believe. I don't know if that was over slot or slot, but he was the youngest player in that class. He's played a little bit of center, a little bit of left, 1 game at third base. But he's mostly been a right fielder. Top slugging percentage. I didn't expect to see that. And, we've talked about so many top performers in the minor leagues this year. His name hasn't come up, and he just has gotten better as the year has gone on. Again, 553 slugging. Will Benson's 522. Noel, 514. So, if you're like, who's next? Bo Naylor at 502. Who's after that? Alex Call at 500. So, take that for what it's worth. I think you go through and you're like, well, what are some of the other guys? How about a name, Jose Cedeno? So I was looking at stats, minor league stats. I was just looking at the runs created plus, and Jose Cedeno he's in the Dominican Summer League. So that's way down. I often don't look at guys out in that league, if I'm being honest, because it is a very low level of competition. If you look at the entire minor leagues, he currently has the 14th best runs created plus in baseball. He's a 5'7" catcher who didn't even make the Baseball America scouting report when on the Guardian signing class for him. I DM'd Justin Latta, JL_baseball over at Guardians Baseball Insider. I'm like, what do you have? And he sent me that. I got the Baseball America information was from him, but a lot of the other stuff was the stuff that I knew. And this year, he has a 19% walk rate to 10% strikeout rate, a BABIP of 400, which again means really positive contact rates. There's a lot of positives. Again, he's a 5'7" catcher doing this in the Dominican Summer League. But that's enough that I'm going to start checking back on him. Like, I look at that performance, I'm like, okay, so that's you at least have to look back when you see someone who's performing at that level. And I always, talk about, they don't have any catching. He's 17. Who knows if he'll even stick it as a catcher, but it's fascinating. The 179 runs created plus, next highest runs created plus, Will Benson's 154, then Bo Naylor's 153. After them, who's got the fourth best in the minors? How about Jason, butcher the name, Churio? Now, I have a long-standing theory, and I'm putting together a list of all the brothers in baseball. Every pair of brothers where one brother made it to the major leagues and the other played in the minors. Professional brothers. Because I have a long-standing theory that younger brothers actually have been more successful than older brothers. We'll see. I'm collecting this list. I tweeted it out. You can go find that at JeffMLE Draft. You can go in and comment and add names that I don't have. One of the funny things, again, discussing things with Justin, we both left off the Zimmers in our discussion, just blanked on them. But I say this because Jason Churio, his brother, is a top 5 prospect in baseball. Maybe the most interesting bat in the minor leagues right now. Top level performer in A-ball, just got promoted to high A, had a huge game. Here's his younger brother in the Guardian system. 23, almost 24% walk rate, 11% strikeout rate, 345 BABIP. He's playing well. He's playing very well. So good bloodlines, name to watch. Fifth, Alex Call. So again, we talk about who is performing. And if you're curious, Jhonkensy Rodriguez. 6th. 7th, how about Angel Martinez? I don't think I expect him to be that high, and that's kind of one of those things where I go, oh, okay, 20-year-old in high A doing what he's doing. We need to take a step back and really, he's got to be in the top 10 discussion as well, and he's definitely getting protected at the end of this year. Will Brennan, Alberto Menendez is 8th, Will Brennan 9, Jake Fox at 10. I feel like I've talked about Fox, so maybe I don't go into it too much, but, Milan Tolentino got promoted and has come back to earth a little bit. Jake Fox is still in low A. He's still 17% walk rate. He's performing very well at that level. You'd like to see a little more slugging right now. It's all on base skills. And what's funny about to go one ahead of him, Will Brennan's been a leadoff hitter most this year. He's got like a 20 RBI lead at that position in the Guardians minors. And then P.D. Halpin, we probably haven't given enough love. He is kind of in that tier that's just outside the top 10. If someone wanted to put him in the top 10, I wouldn't argue. Center fielder, good defender, great speed, walking at a good, doing it, just has gotten better and better as the year has gone on. When in that draft class, they paid him like a second round pick when they took him in the 3rd round. And at the time I talked about it, like he was just outside my top 50, and he was like Pete Crow Armstrong light. He was the junior version there. So yeah, that kind of stood out when I was looking at some of these kind of under the radar prospects in the system. If you're curious in terms of walk percentage, Jason Churio is number 1. If you're talking prospects, it's then Benson, like guys above DSL, Isaiah Green, Will Benson, Bo Naylor, your top 3. Hardest to strike out, we know that's important. Freeman 1, Cedeno 2, Churio 3, Will Brennan 4. Again, Brennan is making it harder and harder to not call him up. Alex Call 6. And then Jorge Burgos, who we talked about, is another guy who's just performed really well this year. At 10th on that list, Gabriel Rodriguez was a pretty big name signing, got a lot of money, and then, I don't know if I want to say he was disappointing in his early seasons in Cleveland in the minors. Walk rate up, strikeout rate down. Has more home runs this year than he hit in the previous 2 seasons he played combined. 127 runs created plus. He's darn near have to be added. There are reasons they really liked him as an up-the-middle player. I believe he was a 7-figure bonus. I could be wrong. Finally putting it together. This is the type of guys they protect. And when I was talking about who they have to protect, I had his pulled up. I just didn't put him on that have to list. But there's a good chance they are going to protect him. And it's someone to look at because it's another up-the-middle, young, talented player. And on top of that, you're looking at, you look at Brennan, you look at Bo Naylor, you look at Rodriguez, both of them, Gabriel and Jonathan. The advances hitters have made this year in system is impossible to look beyond. The job that coaching has done throughout the minors this year, I think we're seeing it. We're seeing why someone like Junior Betances, while he hasn't worked with most of these guys I mentioned, his name keeps coming up when I talk to people because of the job being done across that minor league system. For years, they had pitching down. Right now, pitching might be their bigger weakness. We'll have to see, that elite tier of guys, which right now, honestly, for me, Espino, Williams, and Bieber are in the elite tier. I'm putting all 3 in that. And then you got Logan Allen kind of almost alone in the next tier for me. And then you got some of the interesting guys in the next group like Gaddis and Curry and Burns. And you can just keep adding in there all of the recent picks. It's like, I guess basically it's like guys who have a chance to be a 1 or a 2, mid-rotation, more than likely back-end types. And this team needs more of that kind of upper tier, at least mid-rotation type of arms. So we'll see. At some point, it would be nice to go out and see them trade for another starter. Because, yes, there are those 3 guys who could be special, but, I want to see. Denholm was just activated. He was one of the big velocity gainers for this organization. We'll see what they can do with this year's group of arms and see who can take a step forward. But it's going to be fun to watch. We haven't done the under-the-radar pitchers, so we'll do that. Potentially on tomorrow's show, we're going to do a mailbag, and, of course, we'll see. We'll talk about the game against Houston. I know I didn't talk about Houston or do a preview because I think you know who Houston has, even after the deadline with a bunch of additions. It's going to be a rough weekend. It's very likely to be a rough weekend, if we are being honest. I am Jeff Ellis. This is the Locked On Guardians podcast for this week. Remember to rate and review, download daily. It helps. Subscribe on YouTube. We're getting closer and closer on YouTube to 500 subscribers. We're, keep moving up into the high 400s. So, if you haven't subscribed, and here's the thing. If you have a Gmail account, you have a YouTube account. So you just go there, click subscribe. You can also, we're at 550.
We're getting tired of that.
That's it. I'm at 438 subscribers. You can click subscribe and then click don't alert me. And I won't bother you.
On today's
pop up in your feeds, but then I still get the credit. So that would be very helpful. Again, I've been Jeff Ellis. This has been the Locked On Guardians podcast for today.
You are Locked On Guardians.
And as I end every show, go
Daily
Guardians, go.
podcast on